Welcome to Cosmic Potato, the Super Fan Talk podcast.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
We've got you covered with everything from Marvel to Star Wars.
Glad you asked that because I wanted to take this time to explain my evil plan.
Classic films, trivia games, and beyond.
Come out to the coast, we get together, have a few laughs.
Now, on with the show.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Cosmic Potato, the Super Fan Talk podcast. My name is Sean, and sometimes I wonder if John Wick is just Neo if he taking the other pill. And sitting across the virtual table from me is a man that doesn't care for spring or fall because those are just the filler seasons. Mr. John Irons, how's it going, sir?
It's not true. Fall is my favorite season.
And we have
all of you collecting Cosmic Potato trivia. Fall is my favorite season.
We have the president and CEO of the Infinite Diversity Network, Rick Tatro. How's it going?
Star Trek V is so damn guilty. It's yeah.
Guilty of being a bad movie.
Very bad movie.
And the host of the Prime Direction, we have Scott Madison. How's it going, sir?
I still have no idea why you keep asking me back.
You should be flattered.
Oh, I am, but also confused.
Our original plan was to do an episode all about Spider-Man Far From Home and get into all the spoilers. Well, yeah, we are going to do that. But we're also going to talk about some of the stuff that came out from ComicCon over the weekend. So the first half of the episode, or 20 minutes or so, will be a Spider-Man discussion, and it is spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home and you care about spoilers, then you probably don't want to listen to the next 20 or 30 minutes of the episode. So anyway, Far From Home. You guys seen it?
Jump right in.
Twice.
You've seen it twice?
Yep.
I've seen
Took the little one to see it, and then 2 days later was our 17th wedding anniversary. And since we had just finished moving and dealing with stuff and really didn't need to spend a whole lot, we decided that we'd just there's a movie theater real close to here that is like a cinema and draft house kind of place where you can like get food and drinks and watch a movie. Yeah. And usually those places are, second run movies, but this isn't. They have new stuff.
Yeah.
But so you can go see a movie for $10, two of you, and if you don't eat, it's only $10. Now, if you do eat, it's 40. But,
yeah.
We decided we would go see Spider-Man and have a. Their food's not bad either. I mean, it's not haute cuisine or anything, but it's tasty.
Yeah, we've got a theater that serves pretty decent food, but the one that's closest to our house is it's $5 a ticket, but they don't sell food there. They do sell booze there, but they and we get the annual popcorn bucket, so you can just refill your popcorn for like $3.99 or something like that. So we got in there and $15 because we snuck our drinks in. I
don't know what this $5 movie ticket thing is you're talking about. I haven't. No.
Yeah, that's
a unicorn. That does not.
Some kind of fable here in the lands of Michigan.
Well, when they put a big banner,
see the first third of the movie.
They put a big banner up at the movie theater last year that said $5 movies and it was supposed to be it was winter special, $5. Well, winter was over and it was still $5. And I asked them last time I went in there, how long is the $5 movie going to last? We don't know, just until they stop. Yeah, okay, it's fine with me.
Well, when I took Sharon, it was like a 1:30 show or something like that. And I don't know if the waitress made a mistake or whether there was like a kids get in free or something. But we didn't buy anything to eat, and it was $6 for the two of us. And so I gave her like a $2 tip because I'm like, that's still one price, the price of one ticket. So I wasn't complaining.
Yeah. They must have $3 matinees or something like
Well,
that.
the downside is their sound system kind of sucks. And
Yeah.
when I took Sharon to see it, we were sitting. The auditorium is really weird. The best place to be totally facing the screen is up against the wall, but that put us right underneath the side speakers, and so while all the booms and explosions, the woofers are all right under the screen, so that was
Right.
all very audible. A lot of the dialogue was kind of muddy and hard to follow, and I thought it was because of where we were sitting. But then when my wife and I went back and saw it, we sat in the middle of the auditorium, and it didn't make any difference. The sound system in that particular theater is terrible.
It's probably the speakers are probably 30 years old.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
All
But I
right.
loved it. I did not mind seeing it twice, and I wouldn't have minded seeing it again.
Yeah, I kind of gave my review last episode. Less the spoilers, but I liked it. I thought it was a really good follow up to Endgame, because that's, like I said before, they tend to follow up these heavy movies with something a little lighter, and that's what they did this time. And but I really enjoyed it. John, what about you?
I liked it. It it was. I mean, I'd heard good things about it. I was gonna say it's better than I thought it would be, but that's not really correct. It was better than I feared it would be, I guess I should say. There were some aspects of it that I didn't think really worked, but by and large, I mean, at this point, a bad Marvel movie is such an aberration. It's again,
Yeah.
the worst that I can think of is Thor: Dark World, and it wasn't that bad. It was meh. It was okay. It wasn't a bad movie. But I mean, the action was great. The effects were great. The plot was, I hadn't been spoiled on the plot, so that was good. I was spoiled a little bit, but we're talking the talk, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So the Mysterio not being a villain thing, not really a spoiler. Or Mysterio being a villain is not really a spoiler if you know anything about Spider-Man at all.
Yeah.
But they also play with things in the MCU, so I was allowing for the possibility. It would have been nice to go in really not knowing that maybe if they did so and so, or maybe he's from another dimension or whatever. But I got spoiled that no, he's not from another dimension, and yes, he's a villain.
Yeah.
See, I was very glad to find out that was a red herring, because that was the one thing I wasn't looking forward to, because I hate that stuff.
The other dimension thing?
Yeah, the multiple Earths. That's one of the things I can't stand about
I love
the
it.
Arrowverse.
I
Not
love multiple Earths. I love the whole. But you like Spider-Man, right? The Into the Spider-Verse.
I talk about this movie, and I'll tell you the nuances of what I felt about.
All right. Well, I can talk more later. Scott, what's your take? Hot take.
Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought that Far From Home was very well done. As you said, effects look great. Mysterio, I was impressed by how well they did it, especially considering all of us, we were around when superhero movies really first started to crawl out of the primordial ooze. We were there for
The Secret of the Ooze.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, all the way back then even, but we were there for the original Blade and X-Men, Bryan Singer's X-Men, Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man. That's what really got the entire superhero trend going. And if they had tried to do Mysterio back then, that he would have looked entirely different. Whatever bodysuit they came up with would have been an entirely different design. They wouldn't have gone with the fishbowl mask. They would have come up with something, maybe reminiscent of it, but not actually.
Or they would have, and it would have been horrible.
Yeah. They would have done it poorly if they did it at all, but they probably would have skipped it and gone for something else. But these days, Marvel is definitely hitting the bullseye when it comes to being faithful to the visuals while still making it look cinematic and impressive. A few things that I could have done without in Far From Home were some of the more slapstick moments. Of course, you're going to expect some because it's a Spider-Man film in the MCU, which is generally a bit lighter in tone than the rest. But some of the things, I know that they brought it back later in the movie just as a mention, but all of the wackety-doo-ness of Peter accidentally ordering a drone strike on another student on the bus and then having to stop it on the way.
Yeah.
One, that's just a little too. Peter's
He's
a
not
smart
stupid.
kid. Yeah,
He's not
Peter's a
stupid.
smart kid. He can say, "Hey, Edith, stop that." Done. But now he's got to like sneakily turn the bus one direction and the other. There's explosions and almost killing the entire busload of kids trying to avoid this drone strike before he finally destroys the drone
Yeah,
instead of just turning it off.
but that
That's the kind of unnecessary slapstick that I felt was just a little silly. And by the end of that scene, nothing is accomplished. There was no point to that scene whatsoever, except for Nick Fury / Talos later on to say, "You almost killed one of your fellow students with a drone. You shouldn't be doing this." Well,
Except that it established the drones coming from orbit, which would play later.
yeah, and I mean it kind of goes along with I didn't read a lot of Spider-Man comics growing up, but all the other Spider-Man films, it kind of goes along with Peter doing everything in the biggest way possible. Like in the first Raimi Spider-Man film, he couldn't help an old lady across the street unless he swung around the Empire State Building first. So he always does everything in the most dramatic way possible because he can.
And can I point out something? Just and I'm not disagreeing with you. That scene was a little over the top, but just speaking as both a parent and a teacher, teenage boys, I'm amazed we survive as a species, because teenage boys, no matter how book smart they are the stupidest animals on earth. I had a friend when I was in high school. We had a pool party at my house, and we had a dartboard out in the garage. Now, Pat was, I haven't seen him in 40 years, but he was one of those guys that just had an intellect the size of a planet, But when it came to, walking down a street, you wouldn't trust him to not wander out into traffic. He was just book smart, but life stupid. And a great illustration of that was we were playing darts, and just kidding, I said, "Hey, Pat, throw me that dart." And he did. So it really wasn't too far beyond belief for Peter Parker to be a genius when it comes to, going into a science lab and being able to calculate every mole in a vat of vibranium or whatever, and not being able to navigate a drone strike. So
to a degree, I can get behind you on that, but at the same time, he's freaking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I would have bought it in the first movie.
Yeah, see,
I would have gotten it
yeah,
in the
maybe
first.
so.
It's fine because the same reason that I bought that he hacked his suit, which was stupid, and he did all this other stuff behind Tony's back, which was stupid. I get it. That's fine. I will chalk, and even abusing the power of the glasses to intervene at all in this, "Oh, he took a picture of me" scenario. Get it. Fine. But again, Peter's not, and all of this is in the context of I like the movie. This scene was my biggest problem with the movie.
Yeah.
Yes, he is definitely a target. You're saying to a, planet-wide defense system. He's not that dumb. He would have actually just delete the photo because he already knows that he has access to everybody's phone, everybody's things. He would have just delete the photo, which I presume is what he ended up doing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They didn't show it, but they I can't find the photo.
Right.
And even after the drone strike, okay, I can't get the glasses back on, and I can't stop it. Fine, but him confirming the target, I would have even bought it if he had said something that kind of sounded like that. And what was her name? Edith.
Yeah.
My sister's name, by the way. and Edith misinterpreted like a bad Siri or
Even dead, I'm the hero.
yeah. Or Alexa, you know, and he said something that's similar to that, and she thought that's what he said because he had something in his mouth or something. I would have bought that. Again, my biggest problem with the film. I thought the way they handled, and I agree with you, Scott, the way they did Mysterio was great.
Yeah.
I thought the backstory, his reason, and the way that they had him actually like in the motion capture suit, and they explained that the fishbowl made sense. Like it was great. It was well beyond what I was expecting.
Yeah, they tied that into something that was, you know, realistic and practical by the end of it, as well as reaching back to various different points in the previous phases of the MCU to bring tiny characters that were barely there,
Right.
bring them back as part of his big, you know, nasty posse of former Stark employees. I thought that was clever. Now, I have heard some people theorizing online that, you know, wow, they've been planning for this for a long time. Look, they had that guy in that one scene and they brought him back here. Well, no, that wasn't planned in the first Iron Man. That's something that they thought of while they're making this one. So some people do give the film a little bit too much credit when it comes to that. But otherwise, by and large, very well done. The illusion sequences with Mysterio, where he's really just hammering Peter with the illusion effect, that got a bit hallucinatory. That was incredibly well done. I really don't think I could have asked for better on that one. Just with the way that it keeps the audience confused and the perspective keeps on changing. The Mysterio helmet as a fishbowl or as a snow globe with Peter inside it, brilliant. I expected them to do that, and they did. All the way to the very end, and that final tease, the final what the F tease mid credits was outstanding. No idea what they're going to be doing for the next movie at this point. The only thing that surprised me, since we are going with spoilers, I did not expect them to have the same actor playing J. Jonah Jameson as they did before.
I
let out an audible yelp.
I was semi-spoiled on that. I'd heard that was a rumor, but not that it was confirmed. So it wasn't completely out of the blue for me.
That was the new one for me. I didn't see it coming.
I had to look it up because I was like, damn, that dude looks so like Jameson. He looks almost as good as the other guy. And then I looked like, oh, never mind.
I was a bit surprised
Academy Award winner J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, I was surprised that they let him keep his bald head for it, but
yeah,
you know, go ahead, let him do it.
I wanted the crew cut back.
I think perhaps being bald makes him more reminiscent of Alex Jones, which is obviously what they were going for with the background that he had on his blog or, you know, his video show rather than newspaper.
I like that it was dailybugle.net. That's a nice update to the Daily Bugle. That was pretty cool.
A very obvious nod to InfoWars in one of the most clever ways possible. That I really enjoyed that. Just surprised that it was J.K. Simmons, but they definitely had me wondering what's going to happen for the next Spider-Man film.
Can I say that?
No.
I think it's. Would anybody agree? Probably not. Would anybody agree that Tony Stark had too much of a footprint in this film? Because all of Spider-Man's villains are disgruntled Tony Stark employees so far in both movies.
I was.
Vulture kind of really wasn't.
I was fine with it.
Yeah, he worked for he was on the cleanup crew. He worked for Stark Industries.
Well, he wasn't. Nope. No, he didn't.
Nope, he didn't.
Stark Industries took his bid. Stark Industries put him out of work.
The Vulture had his own company, and the government, along with Tony Stark, who was
but he had a grudge against Tony Stark, and that's
but he didn't. He wasn't after Tony Stark. His whole thing was, I'm gonna do what I need to do. I'm gonna stay under the radar. I'm gonna stay off. He wasn't out to get Tony Stark at all. In
Let me
fact, he was actively avoiding Tony Stark.
let me say something about the glasses. The glasses don't make sense because they were built by Tony specifically for Peter while Tony thought Peter was dead. So why would you build this for a dead person? And then Peter came back to life about 12 minutes before Tony died.
They weren't built for Peter.
Yeah, they were specifically designed and imprinted for Peter.
No, he had to do that when he got them. They were designed for
Tony.
whoever he passed the mantle to, and he decided
Happy gave them to him, and he said Tony wanted you to have these. Why would Tony want him to have him? He's been dead for 5 years.
Well,
We don't know how long Edith existed.
yeah, one thing I'll point out, you said that he designed the glasses while Peter was dead. Nothing in the movie actually said that. There's nothing to indicate that he was not. The glasses, Edith might have been around forever. He might have named Edith right before the final battle in Endgame, but he could have had the glasses for who knows how long.
And if you think about it,
nothing says that he designed the glasses and built them after the first snap.
yes,
So,
I presume. Well, even if he did, the same way he recorded that message for his family at the end of Endgame, he knew that they had the plan. If the plan worked, time travel. But just in case it doesn't work, let me leave this message. So just like he left this message just in case, if something happens to me, I want Peter to have the glasses.
He spent a lot of time recording messages.
Well,
And the note
Yeah.
didn't say Peter. It said for the next Spider-Man, or for the next Iron Man, rather. And we don't even know for sure that Tony said give these to Peter. It may have just been Happy going, well, he liked Peter an awful lot. I got to give these things to somebody.
Happy wouldn't do that. And Tony wouldn't leave it a chance. He was kind of type A.
yeah.
Yeah, he would.
One thing they established in all the phases of the MCU, one thing they established about Tony Stark is he's always doing something. So anytime he's off screen, just assume that he is simultaneously building 3 new marks of the Iron Man suit and leaving messages and building other tech and setting this up and setting that up. A contingency for everything. So with the glasses getting to Peter, even if they don't specifically explain this is when he built them, this is when he decided they're going to go to Peter, this is when he wrote the note that says for the next Iron Man, I trust you, P.S. say Edith. All that stuff, we just assume he did it at some point because they have painted him as such a busy character. You just kind of roll with it.
And I was gonna say, so I disagree with you on that aspect of it, Sean, but I could disagree that he would give them to Peter. Because, yeah, Peter's a good kid, but he is a kid, and you are trusting him with the most powerful weapon on the planet. But then you think, well, who else would he give? He wouldn't give it to Nick Fury.
No.
I would have thought he would have given him to Cap.
He would give it to Cap, maybe.
Except that he and Cap were on the outs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's no Cap right now.
Well, yeah, not now, but Tony died before that happened, so he wouldn't have known that.
And Pepper wouldn't need him.
Right.
I'm sure she has her own access to everything.
And there's no vision, there's no autonomous system, and he wouldn't trust it anyway after Ultron. I mean,
I
feel like
movie,
he should have set up some barriers the way he did with the suit.
I found it hard to believe that Tony would want to name Peter as being the next Iron Man, which is basically naming him the next leader of the Avengers, and he's just a high school kid, you know.
Well, he's a high school kid now, but eventually he'll grow up. I think that in that way, Tony was playing to Peter's potential. He's not saying, "Hey, tomorrow you're going to start as a new Iron Man." He's saying, "Here, take these because someday you're going to be the one in charge."
I love that he made his own suit.
I liked
great.
that
That was
they.
a great
I like
scene.
the way that they found to get him out of the Iron Spider suit, because I was, as much as I like the Iron Spider suit, I wasn't on board for him being in that suit through the whole movie. So I like the way that he just left it behind. I don't want to be Spider-Man on this trip, and then May puts his old suit back in the suitcase. But yeah, at the end when he's he looked like Tony over that computer with the holograms and everything. He looked like Tony in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can I say how much I
grown up? Because I mean, bitch, he's been to space.
But as he said, that was an accident. One of my favorite aspects of this movie, of both movies, is the relationship between Peter and MJ. And I am so, how do I say this without sounding creepy? Enthralled
Enamored.
with Zendaya. Thank you. With Zendaya. She is doing such an amazing job as MJ without being cliche. One of the things my wife and I were talking about as we were leaving the theater was how this MJ is not a convenient hostage. She's not a damsel in distress. She's not
Hottie prize.
Say what?
Hottie prize.
Exactly. Yeah. She's a wonderful character. She's brilliant, but she's goofy. And I love the dynamic between her and Tom Holland. And when I just found out that not just, but a couple of weeks ago, found out that she's going to be playing Chani in the new Dune movie. And I'm just like, yes, that is going to be so awesome. So.
And I also like that they're still calling her MJ. They're not calling her Mary Jane. So they're flat out telling you this. I mean, this is the same character, but it's not the same character. We're following a different footprint. So while Peter has a lot of the same hallmarks as the comic book, they've totally redesigned her character. I like the way that they dealt with the issue of the snap, because they had to deal with it, because they had to show that most of or at least half of the school disappeared, and now that's why, hey, they're all the same ages as they were in the last movie, even though it's 5 years later. But they call it the way blip. That they come back, they call it the blip, and they show it. They didn't show it in Endgame. They showed the video of everybody just popping up in the middle of a basketball game, and the band appearing, and the basketball players running into them and everything. That was and the video tribute at the beginning when it first came up. When they first came up and they were playing I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, I was like, why are they starting with this song? And then they start showing these very generic photos of Tony Stark and everything. I was like, oh, this is like a Microsoft Office slideshow or something, And then when they showed the candles and it said Getty Images across the front, it's like, yeah, that looks like something a high school kid would have put together.
I love May's story of when she unblipped and showed up at her house, and the people that were living there, the wife thought she was the husband's mistress, and the grandmother thought she was a ghost. And
yeah. I what you were saying before, John, about it not being a spoiler that Mysterio was the villain. I thought, okay, so I'm watching the movie and we're almost an hour into the movie, and it hasn't been revealed that he's hiding something or whatever, And I got to thinking, it would be very interesting if they make Mysterio a hero now, because Marvel does change things from time to time. They never changed anything that big. Right. I mean, they changed the what was the shapeshifter species in Captain Marvel?
Skrulls.
Yeah, they kind of changed that whole dynamic,
Well, in Doctor Strange, they made Mordo, right? Or Bordo.
Yeah, Baron Mordo.
Yeah, he's still a good guy for the vast majority of the film, and he's a classic Doctor Strange villain. So I thought that they might be doing something like that, where it's kind of the villain's origin story too.
Yeah. If he had been an actual hero, if he had been an actual hero for the first half of the movie, and then Mysterio has a turn and becomes a villain, then that would have been, I thought, creative. But with the way they did it,
was open for a multiverse thing. I love a multiverse.
Hopefully there will be some multiverse talk later this show.
Yeah,
hopefully. But yeah, well, I mean, I've said my piece. I think we do have to discuss that mid-credit scene. We already talked about the fact that J. Jonah Jameson is back and J.K. Simmons is playing him, which again, audible squeal. My wife looked at me like I was crazy. Why are you? It's like, that's J.K. Simmons. He's back. They couldn't find anybody to play that part any better. I'm sorry.
True enough.
But also the fact that Mysterio recorded a message that let everyone know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and we see that at the very end. So that's going to make an interesting Spider-Man 3.
I gotta say, I was not thrilled with that mid-credit scene because there are two superhero plots I am so over. One is the superhero losing his powers, which every goddamn second movie has done except Spider-Man, which I'm glad.
Oh, it kind of did actually.
Well, he
Spider-Man
did
2.
lose his Spidey sense. Yeah, he couldn't make his Spidey sense work through most of
It
the
was
movie.
Peter Tingle wasn't working.
Yeah.
He could still stick to stuff, all right. And framing the superhero to make him seem like the bad guy. And that looks like that's where they're going. I'm reserving judgment until I see what they do, but I am so over that plot line, and I know it's, they do it all the time in the comics, but I just, it's so tired and so worn out. I just hope they do it in a way that makes it interesting.
I don't disagree with you about the framing the good guy. Again, this is a minor tweak I would have made. Basically, Mysterio released this like to the world, if I remember correctly. And again, if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I think it would have played better if he had sent it like exclusively to the Daily Bugle. If it's basically like Fox News, like we'll take all your conspiracy theories, and so the majority of the world, still think Spider-Man is Spider-Man, and just this one newspaper or this one venue is like, no, we know the truth. No, we know the truth, which is basically how it is. Most people still see Spider-Man, like in the comics, most Spider-Man is a hero to most people.
And let me say, but
it's the Daily Bugle. He's on, for whatever reason, he's on this crusade to bring down Spider-Man.
There's a trope in movies where they show video coming up on big jumbotrons in New York City, and the speakers are loud enough that you can hear it over all the traffic and everything. And that it doesn't work that way. But okay, so also the end credit scene, Nick Fury was never there.
Yeah, I loved that because the first time I saw it, I was like, man, what is up with Jackson in this movie? Because he is just not, something is wrong. And then when I saw it, I was like, Samuel L. Jackson is pardon my French, but is a motherfucking acting genius because he played Nick Fury just a little bit off through the whole damn movie.
I would like to say, for the record, if you all recall, when we did our Captain Marvel review, maybe even before the review, no, it was the review, because we were talking about it, and I said what I was hoping for was that we'll find out that Nick Fury had been replaced by a Skrull.
I don't remember that, but cool.
Called it.
Well, he wasn't really replaced by us because he knew about it. It wasn't. He sent.
I didn't say he didn't know about it. I said
they're like working for him. But he's in charge. He's
he was
he's
replaced
in. Yeah, he's in command of a Skrull spaceship out in space somewhere, which I assume they're setting up for Captain Marvel 2 that we'll get in 4 or 5 years. I don't know.
Well, it could really be for any of the Marvel movies. There's a lot of speculation, and I'm on board with this. There's a lot of speculation that what he's doing up there, working with the Skrulls, and I don't know if there's anyone other than Skrulls that he's working with, but this good guy refugee sect of the Skrulls, there's got to be some bad Skrulls out there somewhere. Sure. But there's a lot of speculation that what he's doing up there is now that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been gone for years now, thanks to Hydra, a lot of people think that he's up there building SWORD, which is from the comics. It's like a
offensive wing.
Yeah, I think so. I never really got to know SWORD very much from the comic books, but it's kind of a companion organization to S.H.I.E.L.D. It is space-based as far as I know. So it sounds like he's basically, rebuilding his old gig, but he's got new friends helping him do it. The interesting question that I thought that post-credit scene raised, showing us that Fury and Hill were Skrulls, is he met the Skrulls in the 90s. we saw Maria Hill for the first time in the first Avengers movie. Has Maria Hill ever been real?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
think
hope so.
We have no proof.
No, we
that's
have
so
no
that's
proof.
fair. That is a valid theory.
Every time that we have seen Nick Fury in any Marvel movie, with the exception of Captain Marvel, we now have to wonder, was it him or was it Talos? And with Maria Hill, literally every time we've ever seen her, we have to wonder, was she human or was she a Skrull?
I think it's
not a big deal, but it's a fun question to ask.
I'm sorry, was that you reacting to my shrug? It's not a big. My shrug was saying, "Yeah, we could wonder, but I don't care."
Yeah, I think. I think at the end of the day, it was just this movie. But
it is a completely valid theory, but I choose not to speculate because.
Right. It is so far. As far as we know, it's going to be such a low impact question that it doesn't really, bear asking. But for fun,
there were two hints. There were two hints that Nick Fury was not Nick Fury, and then number one was that I don't think Mysterio could have fooled Nick Fury for as long as he did. And number two, there was a line, and I got to admit, I heard this on another podcast. I didn't catch it when I saw the movie, but there was a line in the first scene where Mysterio is there, and they take Peter to meet him and everything. He says he's talking about Earth to Peter, and he calls it your world. He doesn't say our world. He calls Earth your world. So.
Oh, Fury does?
Yeah, Fury does.
I didn't catch that either.
I didn't catch it.
What was the context of that?
He's talking about the multiverse. He's saying that Mysterio is from this world, and which is different than your world or something. I don't remember the exact line, but
okay, yeah, that's ringing a bell. I think I just assumed he was talking about how Peter's world is about to get bigger.
I did too, but it's a nice
it's a good double meaning, good double entendre. That's sly.
Let's talk about some of the stuff that came out during San Diego ComicCon, and I think we'll mostly because we've got about 20 minutes or so left, and I think we'll mostly stick to DC and Marvel. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that came out, and if we got time at the end, I may kind of run down the list. But we'll start with DC because there's not as much. But number one, we've got the Harley Quinn animated series coming out. Did you guys see the trailer for that?
I did.
Yeah.
R-rated cartoon.
I mean, if it was on something free, I would watch it, but I'm certainly not going. I haven't seen any of the DC Universe stuff. Nothing has compelled me to subscribe. If this joins that list of nothing that compels me.
It drink it right out of the bottle.
If we're going to talk about this shit, I need another drink.
It definitely seems in line with the rest of the DC Universe stuff, which is, hey, we're on a streaming service, so we don't need to necessarily cater to kiddies. So we're going to put in lots of cursing. We're going to put in violence and like Doom Patrol, like in the first episode. You know what? We're going to put in a couple sex scenes with naked boobs in it because we can.
I'm so glad I'm not interested in subscribing to that now, if that's where they're going with it.
A hard rock version of.
Don't think that I subscribe to it. No.
No.
I just have my ways.
I did watch the first episode of Swamp Thing, and I thought it was pretty good. And I'm surprised that they canceled it before the show was even finished airing.
Right.
From what I hear, it wasn't canceled due to its quality. It was like
something behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's like a budgeting snafu kind of thing.
So
again, we are in, and I've said this a million times, and I'll keep saying it until it's over. We are in the midst of a paradigm shift, and we are going to see streaming services rise up and fade away. And while television executives are still trying to figure out this internet thing, until the older crowd is gone. And unfortunately, at least I'm part of that older crowd, although I'm trying really hard not to think like that. But
Me too. How do you explain this haircut?
And the vaping.
Until the upper echelons of of these networks are no longer run by 60, 70-year-old white guys who have no clue about the internet. We're going to see a lot of ripples, a lot of bad decisions, a lot of experiments that aren't they don't go far enough, but they go too far, kind of thing. So I think that's it's not always going to make sense.
Yeah. The other thing that came out from DC is the one that Scott wanted to talk about, that they announced some things for Crisis on Infinite Earths that's going to be coming in the fall, which is going to be the big crossover this year for the Arrowverse. And they announced that Brandon Routh is going to be on. Well, he's already on because he's on Legends of Tomorrow, but he's going to be playing Superman from the universe that Superman Returns takes place in, and Burt Ward is going to come back as Robin.
Right.
Burt Ward is coming back. They haven't said what
Burt
he's
Ward
playing.
is going to be there.
Things.
Yeah,
they haven't confirmed who he's going to play, and I have also heard some people ruminating online that Brandon Routh might not necessarily be playing the Superman from Superman Returns, which is the Christopher Reeve Superman, because that movie was intended to be a follow-up to the first two. I think he probably will be, based on the T-shirt that he showed at ComicCon. It seems like the writers of Crisis are trying to say that Christopher Reeve Superman from the first two movies, who is also Brandon Routh's Superman from Superman Returns, is going to go on to become the Kingdom Come Superman from the comics. And that's who he's going to be portraying. And then we're going to have Tyler Hoechlin returning as the Earth 38 Superman from the Arrowverse. And I've also seen reports that Tom Welling is coming back to reprise Smallville Superman.
Saw that. I saw that on a site, but it's not a site that I put a whole lot of stock into. But
Rick is that because this is a multiverse thing that you're doing that, or is it because you don't like Smallville? Because
it's getting ridiculous, is what it is.
It's a 5-part special that is ringing in the end of Arrow, which is the show that started this universe. And let them have their fun. Let them be big. They can bring in whoever they want. Come on. They're also bringing back, apparently, the same rumor as Tom Welling says that Linda Carter is going to come back and play Wonder Woman in this crossover.
Will this be the introduction of Wonder Woman into the Arrowverse at all?
I think so.
Wait, Linda Carter is like the president or something, isn't she?
Linda
she's
Carter
also
is
an
the president in the Supergirl universe, but not in the Arrowverse.
Right. On Earth 38, Linda Carter played the president, who was also an alien. And I can't remember if she is dead or if she got ousted from the presidency. I cannot remember.
And you see, this is why I don't like this stuff, because it's impossible to keep track of it. And it's like one of the things that turned me off in The Flash. I love The Flash first season. I love The Flash second season, but every time they kill what's the scientist's name? I can't remember. I haven't watched it in a couple of years. He was Reverse Flash in the
Wells.
Dr. Wells.
Oh, you're talking about Wells.
Yeah. Every time they kill a Wells, they just go, screw it, we'll go get another one. It's like there's no point in killing anyone. There's no consequence to it. And when I found out that Supergirl was on Earth 38 or whatever, I was like, oh, well, for who gives a damn then?
Well, but she's on a different. Well, I guess you don't care. I'm about to say, she's on a different Earth because they have to portal to get to her whenever they do the crossover.
They've established that they have to travel between dimensions to get to her Earth. Yeah.
Here's what I think is funny. Okay. Here's Rick going on a bit about we got a multiverse in the CW Arrowverse, and it's impossible to keep track of because I couldn't remember a thing. There was a thing that I couldn't remember, and that set him off on no. That set him off on no. It's impossible to keep straight. Have anyone who has watched Next Generation once come to us and talk to us about Next Generation and listen to us go on and on about the details, and they're going to say this is impossible to keep straight? No, it's not. We've just seen enough that we can keep it straight. If I had watched the season of Supergirl with Linda Carter's president, if I'd watched that one extra time, I'd remember. I'd be able to keep it straight.
You know what? I hate the mirror universe in Star Trek too.
Here's the thing. This is, and I think this ties into something else too. Like, here's my theory. And I've got another thing about Burt Ward that I want to say, so I don't want to forget. But the reason that I love the multiverse, I think, is the reason that Rick hates it, which is that it explodes canon. If it's a multiverse, anything goes, and just because you did it here doesn't mean it really happened, and just because you did it here doesn't mean it really happened. And I love that because, again, it explodes canon.
And I'll grant you,
anti-Rick.
For the writers, it's awesome because they can do whatever the hell they want and not worry about contradicting something else. So they just go, no, this was from Earth 2042.
Right.
And, you know, it's personal preference. I don't like, I want a single timeline that I can keep track of.
And that's the other reason why I am surprised that Rick is not excited for Crisis on Infinite Earths, because the result of this 5-part crossover is going to be a single unified Earth in the Arrowverse.
That's what it was used for in the comics.
I guarantee it's going to end with Supergirl being on the same Earth as Flash and the Legends and Batwoman coming up soon. They're killing Oliver Queen by the end of it. If they don't kill him, then they're taking him off the board, at least, because he and his series are done. And with the number of episodes they have in their season, Crisis is no, Siri, I'm not talking to you. Crisis is going to be the end of Arrow. That's their series finale. Is going to be in Crisis with just the number of episodes that Arrow has this season. It's much shortened, so it's got to line up with Crisis. So they're going to end his series. They're going to consolidate all the Earths. And by the time they're done, then you're going to have one reality moving forward.
All right, then I'll start watching again.
Yeah, there you go. See, and to just give some general thoughts on Crisis as it's coming up, because this one has me really excited. Now, Arrow, I haven't loved it lately because, you know, the writing just hasn't been all that sharp, and they've been cutting a lot of corners and taking shortcuts with their storytelling. This most recent season of The Flash, it bugged me a lot because I didn't like all the characters. They brought his daughter from the future back into the present day, and she was super annoying. And the character of Elongated Man, he still hasn't quite grown on me. He's a little bit annoying too. But I think that Flash can get back on track if they really try. If they tighten up the writing, then that can really shine. So all of my issues with the individual CW shows, if I put them aside, they're still entertaining. And with this 5-part crossover, that's going to let them bring in so many characters from so many other properties and mediums. I've also seen reports they're going to bring some characters from Titans on the DC Universe app.
Makes sense.
To show up in Crisis for who knows why or for how long. I don't know. But there's going to be representation from so many different mediums, so many different franchises of DC that we thought would never make it to the CW. And they're going to say, you liked Smallville, right? Well, yeah. Here's a little taste of that coming back. Mix it in with your CW and have a nice DC stew on television.
Did you guys watch? I haven't watched Arrow for about 2 seasons, and I haven't watched Supergirl for about 2.5 seasons, and I quit on Flash probably 3 or 4 episodes from the end of it. So I didn't finish any CW show last season. I think I may be done. I really wanted to watch it.
The Flash is the only one that I watch.
I wanted it to be good. The
Flash is the only one that I watch regular. I will be watching Batwoman when it starts. I think it looks pretty good. I think I'm the only person on Facebook that thinks it looks good.
Well, a lot of my LGBTQIA students are really looking forward to the show. So I kind of have to try to rein Ro Karen in because she loves Batwoman and despises the actress who's playing her.
You know, Ruby Rose. I don't think Ruby Rose is a bad choice for that role. That's my opinion, and you know.
The CW superhero shows are not exactly Shakespeare. You don't need an Academy Award winner to play those roles. So I think they'll probably make do.
I might try Legends again And I think I made it through 2 seasons, and I was like, oh, it's just terrible.
I
Stop.
couldn't make it through the first episode.
From what I hear, I think they're like 5 episodes or 5 seasons in at this point, and apparently they've just embraced the camp, and
Yep.
they're running with it, which I will try it. I'll give it a shot. I'll probably same thing with the Orville. I'll give it a shot. Or actually, Orville got significantly better by the end of the first season. Actually, so
we have to save some of Rick's vitriol for the landing party. So let's not talk about the Orville just yet.
The only thing I'm going to do about the Orville is gloat. So.
Real quick before
let me just really quick before you move on. I just want to give a caveat. I am not the CW's audience. I am not a comic book person. A lot of what the CW is doing with their shows is why I'm not a comic book person. So, the multiple realities and the different what ifs and all of that stuff is one of the reasons I never got into comics. So,
I like
if you're
your shirt,
digging
by
it,
the
that's
way, Rick.
groovy. What?
I like your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I like superheroes. I like them on TV. Sometimes I like them in movies. I like the idea of a lot of the superheroes, but I've tried to read comics all of my life, given my likes and my friends and my nerdiness and stuff. The fact that I'm not into comics is one of the most inconsistent parts of my character. But every time I try to read comics, they do this goofy crap that I don't like, and I just can't get into it. So I am not saying that these shows are bad because I don't like them. I'm just saying that the stuff they're doing is the stuff that keeps me away from them in print, and when they're doing it on film, I like it even less. And so enjoy, dig it, love it. I liked the first 2 seasons of The Flash. Then season 3 was just more of the same, and I faded away. I tried Legends of Tomorrow, and the acting was so abysmal in that first episode. I couldn't finish it. Everyone tells me it gets a lot better and a lot more fun. Groovy, go for it, have more fun. It's just not my bag, baby. But if you love it, go for it and enjoy it.
I'm just going to run down the list of the stuff that Marvel came out with, because Marvel by far came out with the most information. So we found out that the release date for Black Widow is going to be May 1st of next year. They also said that the villain is going to be the Taskmaster, and David Harbour is going to be playing Red Guardian, who is the Russian super soldier counterpart to Captain America. And that doesn't really kick off Phase 4 because it's going to take place between Captain America, Civil War, and Infinity War. So it's going to kind of show what happened after she kind of disappeared for a while. And
I'm just happy for more Black Widow because I love Black Widow.
I'm assuming
movie
Nick Fury
version
will probably be in that movie too. So the Eternals is going to be to actually start Phase 4. I don't know very much about the Eternals. I've heard of them. I know they're gods. They're like young gods or something like that. So, but I will go see it because I go see Marvel movies.
Down the stairs. The cat's walking down the steps. The dog's asleep.
That comes out November 6th. 2020, and then Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is going to come out on February 12th, 2021. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to be released on May 7th, 2021.
I love that title.
And spoiler alert, Wanda Maximoff is going to have an important role in that film. She can kind of change reality and stuff too. So
I think this is going to be bad for your multiverse aversion.
Because multiverse is in the title.
Maybe.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
It would not surprise me, before we move on to that, just that quick multiverse thing, it would not surprise me if they restrict the existence and the impact of a multiverse to that single movie, or at least Doctor Strange's movie series. I don't think they're going to introduce the concept of the multiverse wide to the MCU. At least not yet. It would be odd for them to mention the concept of it in Spider-Man and then say that it's not real, only for them to say it's real for all the movies like the next year. So it's probably just going to be a Doctor Strange thing.
Oh, I
Completely
forgot to
disagree.
mention when we were talking about Spider-Man, did you guys catch the nod to Marvel Zombies in Spider-Man? I mean, I know you saw it,
Yeah,
but
the
I thought that
dead
was pretty
dead
cool.
Iron Man.
Yeah,
That was
Iron
the
Man
only
got
moment I was
great.
worried for my little girl, but she was fine with it.
Okay, so Thor: Love and Thunder is coming out on November 5th of 2021. Natalie Portman will be Thor.
I'm so into that. I'm
Did
so
not see
looking
that
forward to
coming.
that.
That's
I
going to be
didn't
cool.
see it coming
Yeah,
at all.
she was on stage at Comic-Con holding up Mjolnir.
I just hope they change the name because the name is stupid AF.
They're not going to change the name.
No, that's going to be good.
If they've announced it, then they're not changing.
Yeah,
it.
the movie title? No,
Yeah.
that's not changing at all. I'm just really curious what Taika Waititi had to do to convince Natalie Portman to come back to the Marvel movies.
Give her
Show her
Mjolnir.
next- Oh, yeah.
Back up a money truck. All right, beyond 2021, these don't really have dates, but of course, Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, Guardians 3, and the Fantastic Four and Mutants, which Mutants is going to be an X-Men movie. Phase 4 is also going to include TV series on Disney Plus. We know about all these really, but The Falcon and Winter Soldier will be next fall. WandaVision, Loki, and What If all come out in 2021, and Hawkeye is getting a series as well. So
I didn't know that he was getting a series until I saw the San Diego announcements, and I can tell, Rick, you're super excited about it, but just stand back, let other people have some excitement as well.
Well,
I am looking forward to the Hawkeye series. Obviously,
me
from the title, from the logo design that they had for it, it's obvious that they are going to be cribbing from the Matt Fraction run of the Hawkeye comic book, which was just incredibly well reviewed when it came out. People loved that book and they loved the character while it was running. And if they have a television series focusing on him that gives Jeremy Renner a chance to actually do something with the character, which they never really did in the movies, then I think it could have a lot of potential. It's going to run the risk of being compared to Arrow, because now it's a television series about a guy who's really good with bow and arrow, and that's about it. But if they set it up right and execute it properly and use some of the elements that they've already laid out in the MCU to bring in references, cameos, things like that, then I think that one has a really good chance of succeeding. But is anyone else here excited for the Marvel What If series?
yes,
not excited, and I will watch it. I'm interested.
I'm excited. It was my favorite comic. It was one of my favorite comics as a kid.
Did anyone catch the Marvel Zombies reference in that?
I didn't know.
If you look at the title that they put up on their big board for Marvel Studios What If, if you get a high res image of that and you look closely, hidden in like the sides of the box and the letters, because those letters are three-dimensional. They're extending into the background. And if you look at the sides of them, if you look really close, you can see there are images superimposed into the sides of the letters and the sides of the box. And if your eyes are sharp, then you can see Captain Britain. You can see there are a couple other characters that I can't quite remember, but the two that are very clear are Captain Britain, which we've never seen so far, and off in the corner, anyone who wants to go look it up, check out the top left corner of that logo, and you will see some Marvel Zombies hiding in there. So I think that they're going to do a Marvel Zombies episode of What If.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I will be watching. I'll be watching all this stuff. So, okay. And the other thing,
I want to rebut something just a little quickly. My problem with Hawkeye is that I don't know the comic. All I've seen is Hawkeye in the movies, and he's the most boring character they have.
They dropped the ball on him for sure.
Blade. They're making Blade, and
love
it's
the actor. I can't remember his name. What is it? Ali
Mahershala.
Mahershala.
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Ali. Okay. Yeah. I loved him in Luke
Moonlight.
Cage.
Mhm.
That too.
No, not Luke Cage.
Yeah, he was in
was
yeah,
in
Luke
Luke
Cage.
Cage. Yeah,
Season 1.
He was Cottonmouth for the first half of
Cottonmouth.
season
Yeah,
1.
and the series lost a lot when they took him out so early in the run. He was amazing. Loved him in his brief time in Hidden Figures. Can't wait to see what he does with Blade.
Which is a little strange for them to. Marvel doesn't usually reuse actors like that, but
He called
mean-
them. He called Kevin Feige.
well, they're
Feige.
kind of running out of actors.
Yeah. Well, no, but no, he called up Feige and said, "I want to do this." And
Feige.
Feige went, "All right, Feige."
Feige.
Yeah.
I call
so-
I call him Kevin Feige.
Please don't.
Yeah, I read that as well. After he got his Academy Award, he
Yeah.
he called up
Like,
the
I got
head
power
of,
now, bitch.
the head of the Marvel
Yeah.
movies and said, "Hey, you see this thing in my hand? I want to do a Marvel movie. Okay, what do you want to do? I want to do Blade. Well, two things. First, we've already done Blade, not part of this universe, but we've done Blade movies already with this other guy. And two, you've already played a Marvel character, and I could just picture him on Skype, just holding up that Oscar, waving it back and forth. And
It is.
all right, all right.
I would love if Wesley Snipes played the villain in that movie. That would be cool. Whatever villain they want him to be, that would be cool. Or the character that Chris Christopherson played in the first
I was just
movies,
thinking that. Make
have
Wesley
Wesley Snipes play that character. That would be cool. One other thing I wanted to bring up before I close the show out is that they did release the trailer for Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and I'm a fan. I'm looking for my notes on that. I'm a fan of Kevin Smith movies, so I'm going to see this, but it's kind of strange because they're not releasing it to theaters like a wide release. They're going to do a Fathom event for 2 nights, and you'll be able to see it in theaters then. Other than that, you'll have to go. They're doing a Jay and Silent Bob reboot roadshow where Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes are going to go to 30 cities, and they're going to show the film in those 30 cities. I know Kevin Smith is doing it to kind of get out of having to deal with releasing. This is how much money the movie made, because, you know, his last few movies have only made like $2 or $3 million in theaters or whatever, and he doesn't want to have to deal with critics talking about how, because it's not going to be a good movie, but it's going to be a hilarious movie.
Bumping around to different cities and doing showings and Q&As is very similar to how he released Red State.
Yeah.
This is I agree. This is definitely Kevin Smith not wanting to do a standard theatrical studio release, just like, you know, all other filmmakers in the world end up doing. He wants to do it differently, and, you know, whatever his reasons are, fine. I don't really care. I respect Kevin Smith, but I was not at all a fan of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I think that those characters work better when they're supporting characters in other movies. When they're headlining their own, I'm not the biggest fan. So I did not actually watch the trailer for this one. I'm probably going to let this one just pass me by.
I will.
I did watch the trailer. When Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, my wife and I were dating, and it was one of the movies we saw together. And I remember sitting in the theater watching it going, anyone else but Kevin Smith, I would have left already. But he could get away with stuff that no one else could. And I love his early movies. All right. Clerks is not something you can watch over and over again, but it was, you know, it's worth watching once just to see. But, you know, Dogma was brilliant. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, I had a lot of fun with. Clerks 2, I own it. I don't think I've even taken it out of its cellophane. You know, it was one of those things that he said he'd never do it, but then he dangled it as a carrot to Jason Mewes to get clean. And if Jason Mewes got clean, he'd do Clerks 2, and he did. And we saw why the dude that played Dante and the dude that played Randall hadn't worked since they did Clerks, because they're terrible. But Rosario Dawson
I don't think that's a true statement. They have worked. They just haven't been in anything you've seen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brian O'Halloran was in Mallrats. Wait.
Yeah, and
Oh,
but-
and the Clerks animated series.
Yeah.
So, and so I watched this trailer, and I'm seeing a 40-year-old Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith doing the same tired shit they were doing when they were 20. And
Well, yeah, they're not going to change it.
I'm afraid that my tolerance and forbearance and enjoyment of that shtick is gone.
This is a movie that I will watch, but I'm not going to go to the Fathom event, and I'm not going to drive to Atlanta to see it live. I will wait until it comes out on video on demand or something like that. But it is interesting that Ben Affleck is coming back as Holden McNeil. Ben Affleck and Kevin Smith kind of been on the outs for the last decade or so, mainly because Jennifer Garner didn't like Kevin Smith. But now that now that Ben Affleck's not with her anymore, I guess they can make nice again. Matt Damon's going to be back as Loki, and the movie versions of Bluntman and Chronic. So, this is about them doing a reboot of the Bluntman and Chronic movie. The movie version of Bluntman is going to be Val Kilmer, and Chronic is going to be Melissa Benoist. So
I had to laugh because they released that picture of the two of them with Melissa, and her costume is somewhat suggestive. And people are like, "What the hell are they doing?" I'm like, "Did you see what they had Mark Hamill doing in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?" This is what Kevin Smith does.
Oh, John, you don't have to cry. Okay.
Or what
All
they
right.
did to Carrie Fisher.
That's going to be it for us. I want to thank everybody for coming. Rick, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Scott, thank you for being here as well.
I appreciate it.
John, as always, you might want to feed your dog.
No, I told you what was going to happen.
Oh, the cat. All right. If you want to get in touch with us, stay tuned, and announcer Nate will tell you how you can do that in just a minute. Thank you to our listeners for joining us this week, and make sure you check out the next episode of Cosmic Potato, the Super Fan Talk podcast, when you might hear John say,
So, what we recorded like 2 weeks ago? Last time we recorded, I ended with a phrase in Pig Latin. Did anybody translate it?
no.
I was driving and I couldn't.
All right. Then never mind. Would have been 3 points to you next time you played.